The stage is set. Happy Valley, whiteout. College game day, 2 unbeaten Big Ten contenders. And we're going to break it all down for you right here, right now on Break the Huddle. I'm your host, Nathan Johnson, alongside betting expert, Rooster, and today's guest picker and debut on Break the Huddle, my mom. Glad to have you here, Mom.
Thank you.
So, Rooster, right out of the gate, what's the first thing that jumps out to your mind when you think about Oregon at Penn State under the lights in a whiteout?
The first thing that jumps to my mind is I can't recall the last time Penn State's won a game worth of crap. If you want to count SMU in the college football playoffs, I mean, I'll give you that one, but, come on. Really? And then, they literally, the local Athens High School could field a better football team than the teams they played this year so far. Villanova, I don't even think they had a football team until 2 or 3 years ago. And now they're playing Penn State. Penn State might just be, everybody complains about the SEC's non-conference schedule. They just need to go get a reality check and just go look over at Penn State. Meanwhile, you have Oregon, on the other hand, who's just absolutely running the score up on everybody, who is still playing Power 4 opponents. They're still playing Power 4 opponents, and they're doing everything. So that is what initially jumps off the page to me in this one.
Yeah, and Rooster, you got some heat in the comments on our social media. You called out Penn State, and they said, well, Oregon's only played Oregon State, Oklahoma State, who just fired their head coach. But I would venture to say they're still better than Villanova, and both of those teams, including Oklahoma State and Oregon State, could probably beat the same schedule that Penn State has played. Let's talk about the Oregon Ducks for a minute. Dante Moore in the whiteout. This is going to be his first true road test. Moore's transition from UCLA to Oregon. Now the Big Ten road test. Do you think Dante Moore can handle that atmosphere early? Or do you think Penn State, with their new DC and Jim Knowles via Ohio State, do you think they need to blitz and test him right away? What do you see in that matchup?
Well, people are forgetting that Dante Moore was the number 2 or number 3 quarterback, I believe, in the entire country coming out of high school 2 years ago. And then he started at UCLA and took the starter's job after 2 or 3 weeks there, and then entered the transfer portal because UCLA sucked so bad. So then he moves to Oregon. He got the opportunity to sit behind Dillon Gabriel all season last year. Dillon Gabriel ended up making it to the Heisman presentation. So you have Dante Moore, who's had a full season, about a half a season as a starter, and then he had a full season in the Oregon system to learn the playbook. He's been able to sit behind a Heisman candidate quarterback, and then this year he's went out and proved why he had the 5-star rating. He drops almost 70 on Oklahoma State. Then he's out here throwing for 400 yards left and right. He's just absolutely balling right now.
Yeah, and Dante Moore, I was asked about him on TikTok the other day. Someone asked, who is this guy? And they know who he is, but they wanted to know what's his potential. I think the ceiling's very high for this guy. He's very dynamic, very, like you said, dual threat guy, top 5 ranked quarterback in the nation coming out of high school. And now he gets his chance to prove himself on the big stage, under the lights, in Happy Valley, Penn State, whiteout. There's no greater atmosphere in college football than the whiteout. There's a couple out there that can compete, but it's definitely on our bucket list for Break the Huddle. We will be going there at some point in the future once we get a few sponsors. But I want to talk about Penn State and their bag of tricks on offense. In the same liking that Georgia kind of held off on their playbook and unveiled some stuff against Tennessee, Penn State really hasn't had to show much against FIU and Villanova. And my question to you, Rooster, is do you think we can expect Colton Ecke and that offense with Drew Allar at the quarterback? Do you think we're going to see a new offense this week against Oregon, or do you think it's going to be as anemic as I saw it against Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl this past year?
Well, Nate, the simple answer to your question is the reason that you haven't seen much is because they don't have much. I mean, their offense is just stagnant year in and year out. And if it wasn't for Nicholas Singleton, who is probably the second best running back in the country outside of Jeremiah Love, if it's not for him and Katron Allen this team is not even in the top 25. Their quarterback is just not good. They have no receivers that any average college football fan can name. And then they've lost Abdul Carter in the draft this past season. So I'm really not sure like why they're ranked so high in the rankings, to be quite honest. They haven't proven anything. And they're still, I mean, they have some seniors, but like, what have they done?
Yeah,
But
you
that's
know,
what I'm
yeah, I would agree with you. I think, they bring in Kyron Hudson to replace Tyler Warren, but we saw what Tyler Warren has done in the NFL so far. I mean, the guy's for the Colts, he's a dynamic playmaker. You're not going to replace a guy like him. It's in the same as Brock Bowers with Georgia. There's certain guys that are generational talent, and you just can't make up for it. And that worries me with Penn State this year. They don't have the playmakers on the outside. Now, Oregon has lost a lot of talent too, right? They lose Tez Johnson. They lose Evan Stewart in the injury. Who steps up for them? And then you look at the quarterbacks, right? Which we'll talk about in a second. But my question to you is, who has the bigger advantage outside, Oregon's speed or Penn State's balance?
I think Oregon has the advantage across the board because people act like Oregon just they're one dimensional. Let's not forget they got the number one transfer portal running back in the country with Mekhi Hughes out of Tulane this past offseason. And then they also have Noah Whittington, who it has been sitting in that system, been a backup running back for about 3 or 4 years now, and he's been behind Bucky Irving, been behind Jordan James, and this year is his chance to step up. So while people talk about Penn State's running back duo all the time, this Oregon duo is not too far behind. And then this Oregon receiving room has the number one receiver in the entire country this year coming out of high school with DeCorian Moore, and he's already shown why he's earned that ranking. So I think Oregon has the advantage across the board as well as the talent advantage because their money is unmatched when you compare it to Penn State.
Yeah, we talk about the outside speed. We talk about the run game for both of these teams, and that's a good pickup with Mekhi Hughes coming over from Tulane. This is a guy 2 years ago that was just unstoppable, ran all up and down the field against very good opponents, regardless of what you say about Tulane's schedule. This is a guy who could break one for 70 at any moment. It's going to be a very, very tough time for that Penn State offense to contain him, especially running behind one of the best offensive lines in the country at Oregon, in my opinion. We talk about the quarterbacks. Dante Moore, more of an effective scrambler, and then Allar, kind of an awkward runner, looks like a giraffe on roller skates at times. But it's effective. My question to you is, which quarterback do you trust more, Rooster? Or let me rephrase that. Which quarterback do you trust more to make winning plays under pressure? Drew Allar or Dante Moore?
Well, I know I'm going to get some hate for this because Dante Moore doesn't have much in-game experience, but I'm just going to have to pick Dante Moore because he's shown that he's not going to be the reason his team loses a game. While he's only played in 3 games at Oregon, we at least have seen that he makes the right plays when needed, and he's not going to be the reason his team loses. You cannot say that about Drew Allar. And another reason why I say that Drew Allar does not know how to make winning choices is because if he was smart, he would have left Penn State last year and been the first overall pick in the NFL draft instead of staying in college, and now he's going to be lucky to be one of the first 4 or 5 quarterbacks taken. So his decision right there has costed him about $15 to $20 million. So he doesn't know what a winning decision is.
Boom. Yeah, it's interesting. We've talked about this off camera so many times where Drew Allar has been in a position last year, and I don't think the Orange Bowl helped. I was there, boots on the ground, in person, in Miami, Florida, at Hard Rock Stadium. He didn't look great. I don't care what anyone says about that second half of the game where they came back, or more so Notre Dame coming back, but it was all run game and Tyler Warren. Drew Allar has not shown me that he's an elite quarterback. Is he a good quarterback? Yeah, but he's not an elite quarterback. And when you look at the 2 schedules for these teams coming up, Oregon, they got Indiana, Iowa, USC, Washington, Penn State, Iowa, Ohio State, Nebraska, who could easily beat Penn State, in my opinion. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but let's be real. Nebraska can play with anyone. They may not win because they don't have the depth, but up front, quarter for quarter, they can play. So my question to you is, if one of these teams wins by plus 20 points, what does that do for their playoff resume?
Well, if Oregon wins by 20 or more points in this game, it's going to make up for a loss they may get down the road because they have a tougher schedule. It may make up for a loss if they're 10-2 against somebody like Alabama, who may be 10-2 down the road, or an LSU who's 10-2 down the road, because Oregon is going to have the much tougher schedule ahead. On the other hand, Penn State is going to coast to a 10-2 record no matter what happens. Because outside of Ohio State and Oregon, their hardest game is against the School of the Blind. They just don't have any tough games on their schedule outside of those top two teams. So I've got to say that Oregon is the one that can contribute much greater than Penn State can from this game.
Yeah, so as we head into this game, this is a big matchup for both. Top 10 matchup, number 6 Oregon versus number 3 Penn State. 7:30 kickoff on NBC, and I'm on Pacific time, so it says 4:30 right now, but I believe that's 7:30 Eastern time, NBC/Peacock. Penn State currently favored by 3.5 heading into this one, so they're saying it's even spread on neutral site. Mom, I'll turn it over to you. You heard it all. I know you're not as familiar with these two teams, but if you had to pick one coming out on Saturday night, who's it going to be for you?
Well, based on what y'all have been talking about, and based on, do they still have good uniforms?
Oregon has beautiful uniforms.
You always loved Oregon uniforms. I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks based on what y'all have said, and I know they're going to have outstanding uniforms. Just saying. Go Ducks.
I believe they're releasing a new uniform. I'm not sure if it's for this game or not, considering it's a whiteout for Penn State, but they're going to be coming out looking clean. There's no doubt about that. Rooster, I'll turn it over to you. We talk about Drew Allar, Dante Moore. Penn State has the edge in the run game. Can they control the clock? Can they keep Oregon's fast, dynamic offense off the field long enough to hold them up short at the end of the day? Special teams might play a role in this one as well, Rooster. We didn't really touch on that, but who do you have coming away in this Big Ten primetime matchup?
Well, as much as I praise the Oregon Ducks, Penn State is still a good football team. They are the favorites in this game. So I want to go ahead and put it out there. Penn State is not a sucky program. They just have not won games when it mattered. And for that reason, I'm taking the Oregon Ducks.
Boom. Yeah, this is probably one of the hardest picks I've had this year because I do trust Penn State's ability to win. They find ways to win, regardless of what you say about them being clumsy.
Against Iowa,
but they find ways to win. And in the same token, Oregon, although they played a little bit better competition, they haven't been tested on the road, especially with Dante Moore. That's going to be the biggest matchup for me to watch is the crowd versus Dante Moore. Can he communicate effectively with that offensive line to limit them getting down early in first and second downs? Because you have a holding call here and there. You have a false start penalty on the road. It's hard. It's tough. You don't want to do that. Give me the Oregon Ducks. I think they do overcome the adversity and the Happy Valley. And I think the Ducks roll. I think they cover the spread. I think they're plus 3.5 right now, but give me the Oregon Ducks. I think it's going to be a tight game, though. I think it's going to come down the fourth quarter. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Oregon fans, Penn State fans, drop your score predictions down below. Let us know in the comments what you think about our analysis. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 1,000 subs. We're over halfway there. We'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.